Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the GRCV Hoops podcast. My name is Gavin, Campbell, and alongside me, as always, my good friend
Ricardo, Vargas. Pleasure to be here again.
All right, today on the list of to-do, we have NBA Power Rankings. This is not based off last season. This is going to be going into the 2017-2018 season that starts in just under 4 weeks, I believe.
Yes.
Pretty exciting. We got less than 4 weeks to go, just under a month. I know I'm excited. You should be too. I know Rick is excited. So
it's 2 weeks. I just can't wait, honestly.
So let's jump into these real quick here. Last year we had obviously the Golden State Warriors in the Western Conference winning it all with a record of 67-15. And on the opposite end, over in the East, we have the Boston Celtics winning the Eastern Conference with a record of 53-29. Rick, do you see both of these teams repeating as conference champions?
Oh, yes, no doubt about it, especially with the Celtics. They reloaded. They got good players now, better players, and Golden State, no one's going to stop them again this year.
They definitely are a juggernaut, not just in the West, but in the entire NBA. In second, we had the San Antonio Spurs in the West with 61-21 record, and across the border, many borders that is, over in Cleveland, second place Cavs at 51-31. These teams, San Antonio didn't really change much. Cleveland changed a lot. What do you think of those two?
Like with Cleveland, with the trade that happened, and huge trade, I think they won't be as good as last year because Isaiah Thomas, he's going to be out for a while. The synergy, they lost Kyrie Irving, such a vital part to the team. I think they'll be a third seed this year, honestly.
You think third?
Yes.
Who gets that 2 seed?
Oh, I think it's going to be the Raptors. I think they have the tools to get it done and get that second seed.
Now, see, I'm not only happy that you said that because I'm a Toronto fan, but I really like what Toronto did with the offseason and the moves that they made that we talked about in the last couple episodes. I think that with what Cleveland did and getting Isaiah Thomas, and we don't know how long he's going to be out for. It could be a couple months. It could be all the way up until the All-Star break. The Cavs haven't released information on that, and I don't think they're going to. I think they're going to let him recover on his own time. They did. I know that their GM was set on not giving a timetable for him, and I just think that that's really going to hurt him. As much as I love Derrick Rose, this is not the same Derrick Rose that we saw 7 years ago. For him to be a starting point guard in this league and get over 30 minutes a game, that's a huge step back from Kyrie Irving, let alone Isaiah Thomas. I agree. I just see the Cavaliers taking a step back, even though they still have, to me and to many people, the best player on the planet in LeBron James.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree 100%. And, LeBron James, he's going to do what he's going to do. I think Kevin Love, he needs to carry a bigger load this season.
Absolutely.
And really step up if they still want to be one of those top teams, which Absolutely. They will be. But,
if Kevin Love can get back to not Minnesota form but closer to it, I know last year his averages went up from what they were 2 years ago during the regular season. We know that he'll never get back to that all-star level that he was at in Minnesota. Not to say that he's not a borderline all-star now, exactly. Just in points and rebounds, what he did for that Minnesota team and being the number one option, obviously that's not going to be repeatable.
It's not, but hopefully they find out a way to make it work and Kevin Love steps up. Because if you have him and LeBron as your two best players, they could carry a team.
Absolutely.
They can carry a team.
Absolutely.
And Derrick Rose will still put up numbers. They're still going to be good, but I just got to see how they mesh. And even when Isaiah Thomas comes back, we don't know if he's going to be the same Isaiah Thomas we saw last season.
That's true. I know that he came out and said that he wants to be and will be the same player that he was before the injury.
Hopefully. I really want that to be the case.
Absolutely. And we wish nothing but the best for Isaiah and a speedy recovery. We really would like to see him on the court sooner rather than later this season. Moving on, we have the Houston Rockets in the West last year getting the 3 seed at 55-27 in that, 3-and-D offensive Mike D'Antoni And on the other side, the Toronto Raptors claiming that 3 spot in the East with a record of 51-31. What do you think about these two teams?
Okay, I think the Rockets are going to improve, and I think they're going to take that 2nd seed because, okay, they did lose a lot of players, but you did add Chris Paul, one of the best point guards of all time. So I think they're going to be even better next season. The offense is going to be fun to watch. I see him taking that 2nd seed for sure. And then for Toronto, I think DeMar DeRozan, he's going to step up and become an even better player next season. And I think the Toronto Raptors are going to be even better.
Do you think his better play per se would have anything to do with that? He was ranked in ESPN's top 100 players as the 36th best player.
Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with it, and he was upset about that. So I think he's going to prove some people wrong.
I know that definitely rubbed him the wrong way, not just him, but Toronto fans and NBA fans for that matter. I don't see how you can take someone that averaged nearly 29 points per game and make him the 36th best player in the league. I think something's up there.
It's insane. I can't even understand.
To me, it's all for, it's clickbait.
Clickbait,
That's
yeah,
what
exactly. Because you saw with Melo.
Melo rated 63. Carmelo Anthony. Really?
That was a slap to the face to Carmelo, his family, and all NBA fans.
I don't understand how you have someone ranked ahead of him who hasn't even played a minute of regular season NBA action.
How does that happen? You're talking about Carmelo Anthony, the Carmelo Anthony.
I would love to see the statistician that argued that Lonzo Ball was better than Carmelo Anthony when that list came out.
Oh my goodness, I don't even know what to say.
That's a story for a different day. Hopefully this season we see some action from Hoodie Melo. And, see him drop some buckets.
My goodness, I need to see 70-point game from him.
That's probably wishful thinking, but nonetheless, moving on to the 4th seed in the Western Conference last year was the Los Angeles Clippers, who was involved in the Chris Paul trade to Houston. And on the other side of that, the Washington Wizards claiming the 4th seed in the East with a record of 49-33. Getting back to the Clippers for a second, this is a very strange bunch of individuals.
Oh, yes, they really are.
I know that they got, I think it was 7 players back and a couple picks for Chris Paul, but I'm very anxious to see what they do with all those players and how they surround them with Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah, it's gonna be a challenge to make that happen because it is a lot of players, a whole new system. They really have to change the entire game plan. I think I would believe so. Of course, it'll revolve around Blake Griffin, but I really don't know. I think they'll be about the same, but I really don't know because just how you said, it's a weird bunch.
You would think that they would be able to get into the playoffs, but that's a whole new group that has to get their chemistry down, and like you said, has to learn an entirely new system.
And then that's just one player. It's like
exactly, and this is going to be 3 new starters for the Clippers that have really never played together before. You would presume Danilo Gallinari get the starting 3 spot, Patrick Beverley at the 1, and possibly Lou Williams at the 2, unless he wants to come off the bench. I'm not sure how they're going to use him, but that is definitely one of the strangest new-looking starting 5s for the upcoming season.
No doubt about it. And tell me, what do you think with the Wizards? That's a good team, a very good team.
I really liked the Wizards last year, and when I watched the Boston-Washington series in the second round, I really thought that the Wizards would have been able to pull that out, had a couple more shots gone their way. John Wall played out of his freaking mind.
It was insane.
He had an MVP caliber series. I'll leave it at that, but I mean, John Wall he's a superstar, make no doubt about it. Arguably the best point guard in the NBA. Bradley Beal, his backcourt mate, he's really starting to come through.
I mean, he really is. He's getting past those injuries. But what I think, I like Bradley Beal's game. He's in a great player, but I think he needs to take that next step if Washington really wants to do something in the East, because for me, he's just a scorer.
He is, and I agree with you. If he can pick it up on the defensive end, which Washington defensively is middle of the pack, so. I mean, they're not great, they're not bad, but if their offense is off and they're not scoring buckets, they're not getting their threes off with Beal and Porter, then I mean they're really, I don't want to say they're a one-dimensional team, but when it comes down to it, I mean, if their offense isn't going, then you really do have yourself an easy victory there. And we saw that last year at the beginning of the season when they got off to that rocky start, and I think they were like 14 or 15 games under 500, and then came back on that crazy second half of the season and made the playoffs.
Yeah, it was nuts. And like they also have Otto Porter. I really like his game, super versatile. But the Gortat, a great big man. They'll remain around the same, unless Bradley Beal steps up. I think so, because John Wall, he's going to be John Wall, but he can't carry that team all on his own.
No, at some point the weight is going to crush the camel's back, and so to speak, and their franchise. I think that Washington is one. I don't want to say star player, but one, really solid,
Yes.
player away from competing. In the East in that conference final.
Oh yes, I can see it definitely. They could be fighting for that number 1 seed if they get that another piece.
And coming on down the list in the West, the 5 seed last year, the Utah Jazz, finishing with a 51-31 record. They lost the tiebreaker with the Clippers, and then on the other side, the Atlanta Hawks with the 5 seed with a 43-39 record. These are two teams, Rick, that really fell off in the offseason and are kind of in that rebuilding mode. Atlanta for sure. Utah, we're not really sure what's going on with that group of guys. What do you think?
Yeah, Atlanta, they got to rebuild, start from scratch. I'm sorry. They really don't have much. If your best player is Dennis Schroeder, then you need some help. And then with Utah, I think they're going to be middle of the pack. They're not going to be as good, but they'll be right there. I don't see too much coming out of Utah.
Me neither. I think the Utah Jazz, the one star they had, who I thought should have won a Defensive Player of the Year in Rudy Gobert, that's really it.
Yeah.
I mean, they traded for Ricky Rubio from the Minnesota Timberwolves. They lost Gordon Hayward to the Celtics. It's just a really strange group now that their star players gone, along with having a point guard that can't shoot now.
And I don't understand why, Rubio, but they have Dante Exum.
Yes.
Well, a few years back, he was supposed to be a nice project, a really good player. And I don't know, I thought they would give him the keys to that starting job and let him run with it.
I think many fans of the Jazz thought that that's what would happen when he came back from his ACL injury. And to go and trade for Ricky Rubio, you would assume he would get the starting job. There haven't been any reports saying, who will run the show for the Jazz at the point guard position. But it is strange that they would go out and get a point guard that's pass first and has never been able to shoot his entire career when you have, like you said, a project that you've been working on for the past few seasons.
You were really high on him, and if I were the Utah Jazz, I would give him that starting job, and I think he could be good because he is great defensively. And he has a lot of potential. And he's still young.
Absolutely. Coming on down the list here, the OKC Thunder and the MVP last season, Russell Westbrook, claiming the 6th spot with a record of 47-35. And on the other side, the Milwaukee Bucks getting the 6th seed with a record of 42-40. These are both two teams that had MVP caliber players, and one of them winning it in Russell Westbrook, and then the Milwaukee Bucks having, I love this guy's name, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Your thoughts on them?
Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. The Oklahoma City Thunder, they did improve, of course, getting a superstar in Paul George. But, since the West is so stacked, so tough, I see them improving, but, they're not going to really do too much because you got the Warriors, you got the Spurs, you got the Rockets. I feel bad for them, but they are going to be really fun to watch, especially Russell Westbrook, Paul George. I cannot wait to see that.
Absolutely. I think if they're in the Eastern Conference, they're a lock for a top 2 seed for sure.
Oh my goodness.
Easy. I really like not only Paul George, but I believe I mentioned this in the first episode, Patrick Patterson. I mean, having Andre Roberson is great and all for his defense. I mean, he's a fantastic defensive player. He's a grinder. Okay.
He is. He's a grinder.
But Patrick Patterson, he can spread the floor for you, which is what they need because Russell likes to have shooters.
Yes, he does.
And they went out and got a really good shooter in Paul George and then also added Patrick Patterson.
That was a good pickup. Patrick Patterson, nice big that can shoot. They're going to be good. They're going to be one of the most funnest team to watch.
Absolutely. And coming on down the list there, well, actually, no, before we do that, let me talk about the Bucks a little bit. And Giannis. Yeah. Giannis is, I believe, did he win Most Improved Player this season? He did. Okay. I think that continues, and that he will be top 5 in MVP voting.
Oh yes.
This is a guy that I think set all records for the Bucks franchise last year. Maybe not all, but at least most of the franchise records for points, rebounds, assists, and I believe it was blocks or steals, one of the two.
He went nuts last season.
He's an animal. And last season, he gave the Raptors all they could handle in that first-round series. I think that the next step for Giannis is to work on his shooting, mid-range and three-point game, and when he becomes that complete player, I think he's going to be unstoppable.
Oh, my goodness. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. I think he has a chance to win the MVP next season. I think he's that good.
I'm not going to argue that because I think with what he has around him, he is going to have to carry. I know that Malcolm Brogdon showed out last season.
He did.
We don't know how Jabari Parker is going to come back from his injury. Chris Middleton is a decent wing player. It's just so-so when it comes to the Bucks, but you know that you have a superstar in Giannis.
Oh, yes. Yes, you do. And, like, that team has potential. I don't see them doing too much next season, but in the near future, they're going to be really good. If Jabari Parker, he comes back healthy and how he was playing really good last season. And Chris Middleton, I like him a lot. And you got to throw in Thon Maker.
Thon, how could you forget Thon? He was. I mean, first of all, we don't know how old he is. We don't know if this guy's 20 or 25. I mean, we'll start there.
Thon.
But we didn't know what to expect from him coming into last season. And when head coach Jason Kidd decided to give him more minutes towards the back half of the season, he really started to come through for them. And, you could see glimpses of greatness. You could see it coming through the cracks and that, wow, this kid, or man, we don't know, could really be something here in the near future.
I think he's going to be a special talent, to be honest.
Absolutely. And I think the pairing of Maker and Antetokounmpo, I think looking down the road, I think that is one of the future, if Giannis decides to stay in Milwaukee, one of the future, great franchises that's on the rise in the next 3 or 4 years, depending.
It's going to be a great duo. But moving on.
Moving on down the list to the 7 seed Memphis Grizzlies with a record of 43-39, and in the East, the Indiana Pacers at 42-40. I think for Memphis, with the injuries that they had last year, it was just a unlucky, disappointing. I don't think anyone wanted to see them go down the way they did. And I know that they tried to put up a fight in the first round against the Spurs, but when you have third and fourth string guys, coming up from the D League and signing guys off the streets, you can only do so much, It was just sad to see because I'm not a Memphis hater by any means, but I like Marc Gasol. I like Mike Conley, and when they had to struggle through what they had, and then having their backup struggle through injuries, and when they came back, just trying to throw that team together, it was just sad to see.
It was like I'm not a Memphis Grizzlies fan, but I respect them. They're a professional team. Mike Conley, Marc Gasol, one of the most respectable two guys in the league. That high character guys and great players, obviously. That's all I can say about them.
The grit and grind of the FedEx Forum there.
The grindhouse.
They love it. They love it. And
Vince Carter, that old man.
Oh, I really wish that he would have either stayed with Memphis for another season or, come home to Toronto. We would have really loved to see him there, play out his last days as a Raptor where it all started. But why the Kings? Why sign with the Kings? If it's about money, you haven't made enough money?
Exactly. Like right now, I would be thinking about retiring.
The man's 40 years old.
How you be 40 playing with those young guys?
I understand they wanted to sign him and Zach Randolph for, what would it be, veteran leadership or whatever it is. But Zach Randolph getting charged, with possession of marijuana isn't really what you want to have for your young guys to look up to. And then Vince, what are you doing?
Like, I don't know. Come on, Vince. You really gotta
come on home, Vince. Stop playing around. You loved it there.
It's always nice to see him come back to the original teams and then retire.
Absolutely. And even if they don't play, I'm sure after this season, or if for whatever reason he decides to play again next year, if he's up to it,
see that.
They always sign the 1-year deal. We saw it with Paul Pierce when he retired, and Amari Stoudemire with the Knicks when he retired. I mean, it's a common thing throughout the NBA to sign with a team that maybe not where you started with, but where your heart is.
Exactly. I agree. And now Indiana, that's a that's a team that I think is just they're going downhill for sure.
I'm not sure what they were thinking when they wanted to get rid of Paul George, but if the best you could do was Victor Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis, I want to know what else was on the table.
Like Victor Oladipo, he's a good player, and
I'm not calling him a scrub by any means. Either one of them, it's just.
But he can't carry a team.
No,
he hasn't proven himself.
Not like Paul George can. It's just a big head scratcher to me.
I thought last year with the Oklahoma City Thunder, I thought he was going to explode last season, have an amazing season.
Absolutely,
but he didn't.
And I think that we touched on that a little bit when we went over the trades. Is he didn't really have that breakout season like they thought that he was going to have when they acquired him from Orlando.
Exactly. Like he was good with Orlando, and it was just a disappointing season last year. But I am optimistic for Indiana with Miles Turner.
Absolutely. He really, when they played the Cavs in the first round of the Eastern Conference playoffs, he really came through.
My goodness.
I don't think there was any doubt in anyone's mind that this is a franchise guy.
He is a franchise guy, and if he could, he's going to be better. He's going to be better this season, obviously. And I think they can lure some free agents in, hopefully next season or the season after this.
Absolutely, they will have the cap space.
Get a good point guard on that Pacers team and watch out.
Exactly, if they can develop a good pick and roll with Miles Turner and really whoever, as long as it's a half decent point guard. When they had George Hill there, I thought that he would have been a good piece to build around until he retired. Just get into the rhythm of having an NBA level talent, and working the pick and roll with him. I actually don't know who the starting point guard of the Pacers is right now.
I really couldn't. Joe Young.
Is it? I'm not sure. Is Collison on the team still?
I honestly don't even know.
I'll have to check into that. I wasn't sure if Derek Collison is a starting point guard. That's still not who I want running the show for me.
I like Derek Collison as a role player, but not as a starting guy. But yeah, like how we said, if you get a really good if you get a decent point guard a good point guard, and then with Miles Turner, Oladipo on the wing, and a couple good role players, they could do some damage.
Absolutely. This is a rebuilding period for them, and we'll see.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, we'll see what they can do. Speaking of rebuilding in the East, this was one of the if not the craziest trade of the offseason. The Chicago Bulls claimed the 8th seed last year with a record of 41-41, and in the West, the Portland Trail Blazers with the identical record, 41 even. The Chicago Bulls. Okay, this is a team who last offseason thought it would be a good idea to sign Dwayne Wade and Rajon Rondo. And then the very next season, trade away their superstar, Jimmy Butler, and then not re-sign, guess who? Rajon Rondo. Okay, if you're going to rebuild, you need to do it correctly. This left many of fans, including myself. I mean, I don't consider myself a Bulls fan, but being in Illinois, you hear about it.
Exactly.
And this was just a head scratcher. I mean, probably the biggest head scratcher. Why sign Rondo? Why sign Wade? If you're gonna rebuild, then rebuild. There's no way this team was going anywhere, even in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, like they got those players, and they were okay last season, but they really didn't do anything. And now you do this in the off season. I really don't understand what is it that they were trying to do.
And I know that you can make the argument for the first round series against the Celtics. If Rondo doesn't get hurt, who knows what could have happened. It definitely was the Rajon Rondo effect. But after that, then what? You play the Wizards, and then after that you play the Cavs. And if for whatever reason you make it to the finals by some act of God, then you play the Warriors. Was it really going to happen for you?
Exactly. I don't understand. I wouldn't have signed Wade, honestly. Like I like Wade's a great player and all, but he's on the decline.
I just don't know, why. What's $24 million to an aging superstar? And as much as I love Dwayne, it's
you don't got to be a genius to know that wasn't a good move.
Exactly. And I couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, it's just, It's silly. It's silly when you see what some of these front offices think is a good idea.
Right.
And Anyway, that's enough about Chicago. They'll be rebuilding for a while, and I really like their prospect in Lauri Markkanen.
That's the only bright spot, I think, in Zach LaVine. Those two guys.
Absolutely, and we'll see how Zach comes off of that ACL injury, along with Chris Dunn. Chris Dunn didn't really impress, as many of us thought he was going to in Minnesota, being picked, I believe it was 6th overall in the draft. We'll see if he can come in through his own. We know he'll get a lot more playing time there.
Hopefully he will, because I was high on him, and I didn't understand. I would have let him run the show in Minnesota last year to see what he could do, but
and that goes to back to the Ricky Rubio thing. It's like, why do you have a point guard that's not good at shooting, and then you have your rookie that you took with high hopes of being a stud, and then you don't play him?
Now it's the Utah Jazz now are doing that.
It's just a never-ending cycle. Moving to Portland. Portland is. I love Portland. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little biased when it comes to the Portland Trailblazers, but they never seem to cease to amaze me when it comes to the regular season and then the playoffs. I really, really, really want to see that series over again with the Golden State Warriors and Nurkic actually playing. I am dead set on that series go a minimum of 6 games.
Oh yes, like Portland. People sleep on Portland.
I love Yusuf Nurkic. I'm really disappointed they broke his leg, and I'm anxious to see him get back on the court and work with Dame and CJ in that pick and roll. And when you have a dynamic big man and a all-star, even though he didn't make it, he is an all-star, and Damian Lillard, point guard. When you have that pick and roll going, that has to be addressed, and then that leaves CJ open to. Do what he does best.
Oh my god, I love his game.
From the 3-point line, CJ McCollum really. I think he blew everyone away. 3 or 4 years ago when he got the Most Improved Player award. I don't think I've ever seen anyone double their points per game in one season.
That was insane. That was insane.
I'm really anxious to see them happen. I really, really wished Melo would have considered Portland as a destination.
Goodness, if Melo would have goes to Portland, if he would go to Portland, they could compete against the Warriors easy. Easy.
I believe it. I think if Melo goes to Portland, I think that they're a top 4 seed. They're a lock.
You got Lillard, Curry, Klay Thompson, CJ, Melo, Durant, and then Nurkic in the paint.
And Nurkic versus Zaza Pachulia, that's a huge mismatch. And then you have to put Draymond Green on him, and they still have role players.
Evan Turner.
Evan Turner and I can't think of the guy's name. It's Noah Vonleh and
those two right there. They're solid role players.
Al-Farouq Aminu. There we go. Even though I know he fell off, but I still think of him as a good defensive player. Just to have that against that high-powered offense.
It would be fun against the Warriors. It would be
absolutely.
A fun series to watch.
I'm really looking forward to watching Blazer games this season, and I really hope that I can get at least a handful of them in. But that's gonna conclude the power ranking session. Well, not really conclude it, but we're through last season's rankings from the playoffs in terms of wins, and now we're gonna move on to who we think is going to take home, the 1 through 8 seeds in the playoffs in both conferences. I know my personal predictions differ slightly from Rick's, but I think we're on the same page here.
We're almost on the same page.
I know for me and I know for him, we both have the 1 seed in the East and the West as the Golden State Warriors and the Boston Celtics. For me, I just don't think there's anyone in the West that can stand up to the Warriors in the regular season in terms of, winning, because that's what it's about, right? So, even the average NBA fan would tell you that, Warriors are coming away with that 1 seed no matter what. On the other side in the East, Rick, give me your thoughts on Boston.
Oh, hey, how I've said before, they got Kyrie, Gordon Hayward. They were a 1 seed last year. They're definitely going to be the 1 seed again this year. Their record's going to improve. They're going to have great they're going to mesh well together. They're going to be a very fun team to watch.
I'm really looking forward to watching a lot of these teams. Like we said in the first episode of the podcast, there was just so many moves this offseason. There's so many teams to keep up with now that I'm not sure I'm going to be watching much of anything else other than NBA basketball.
Exactly.
For me, moving down to the 2 seeds, I have the San Antonio Spurs and the Toronto Raptors. I do not have the Raptors as a 2 seed because I am a biased fan. I have them there because I think that Cleveland, like we mentioned earlier and Rick touched on, Cleveland is going to have a setback for the first few months because Derrick Rose is going to have to pick up the majority of the minutes at the one spot with Isaiah Thomas being out with the hip injury. I think that the Toronto Raptors, with the re-signing of Serge Ibaka and then the trade for CJ Miles, I think that those two moves will put them over Cleveland within the first few months. I'm not saying that they're the better team. I just think that they'll get more regular season wins, even if it's not by much. And then on the other side, the San Antonio Spurs. I know that the Rockets and the Thunder and the Wolves and really everyone in the West got better, but I will never count out a Greg Popovich team. Your thoughts on the Spurs, Rick?
Okay, they're going to be good as always, but I think since the Rockets did add Chris Paul, amazing player, I think the Rockets will take that second seed. I'm not saying the Spurs are going to be, they're going to be easy to mess with, but I think the Rockets are going to get a better record. You
think that they still match up well defensively despite, the Rockets' defensive deficiencies and getting rid of their depth on the bench?
Oh, yes. Yes, most definitely.
Because the Spurs will go 11 men deep, 12 men deep if they have to.
Oh, yeah. You don't have to tell me. I know they will use everything they have. They might as well have their water boys out there shooting threes.
Oh, I think it's definitely going to be a good matchup. And if we do predict this correctly and get that 2-3 seed matchup with the Spurs and Rockets, that's going to be one of the best first-round series in the entire playoffs.
Oh, my goodness.
And then, speaking of the Rockets, we're going to move down to the 3 seeds. I have the Houston Rockets at 3, and then in the East, I have the Cleveland Cavaliers at the 3rd spot. Like I mentioned earlier, the Cavs, I just think they have a few too many setbacks, and I think that's going to bump them down. And, of course, LeBron likes to rest between 6 and 10 games during the regular season, and their record is abysmal without him on the floor. Let's just leave it at that. And Rick just touched on the Rockets. I like the Rockets. I just don't like them enough to put them over the Spurs. I think Greg Popovich is a superior coach. I think that the teams and the players themselves are pretty even. I like Kawhi Leonard and James Harden. I think Chris Paul will bully Tony Parker on the floor. But I think the Spurs' depth overall will put them over Houston. Moving down to the 4 spots, in the West, I have the Oklahoma City Thunder taking home the 4 seed. And then in the East, I have the Washington Wizards. OKC, for me, I think they've done enough, especially from last year. What were they, the 6th seed last year? I think they've done enough to bump up a couple seeds here because of Paul George, period.
Paul George is great.
I think they could be there just by adding another superstar player to pair him up with Russell Westbrook. I really like the Patrick Patterson signing. I think that's going to give them some space on the three-point line. And I think even without him, they would have the 4 seed. I just don't think with him they're good enough to pass either the Spurs or the Rockets, and that's why they're at number 4. The Washington Wizards, I know we touched on them earlier. I have them there mostly because I don't see anyone else beating them out for it. I mean, their team is very similar to last season, if not exactly the same, and I think that's where they'll remain. Your thoughts on the 4 seeds, Rick?
Okay, just how you said, at the end of the day, if you have more talent, you're going to be better. And Paul George is an amazing talent. He's going to definitely help the team out. I'd rather have him than Oladipo, of course. I do agree that there'll be a 4 seed, but I don't know. They might even surprise someone, get that at the 3rd spot. I don't know. I really don't know how good they will be. Paul George is amazing. If him and Russell Westbrook just play great together, they can really do some damage. And with the Washington Wizards, I could see it as well, just staying where they were. But like how we said, we don't know how good Philly will be if they stay healthy. They could compete for that 4th seed. They could do that.
I completely agree with you, and that kind of segues into my 5 seed picks here for the West. Briefly, I will mention the Minnesota Timberwolves. We will come back to them in a moment. In the East, I did have the Philadelphia 76ers as the 5 seed. Call me crazy. I love this team. I love their talent. Barring any injuries, I think this is a perfect spot for them. I see them winning in the mid-40s in terms of games. Like Rick said, I don't know if they can beat out Washington for that 4 spot. It's going to be close. I'm not, like I said, I don't know if any injuries are going to happen. I don't know. No one ever does. But if they can, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm gonna call it right now. I'm just taking the safe bet on Washington pulling out the 4 seed there. Coming back to the West, in the Minnesota Timberwolves. Rick, I know you love this team as much as I do. Give me your thoughts on them.
Oh, man. Like, I think they're going to be a very fun team to watch. Jimmy Butler, Towns, Wiggins. It's going to be a lot of offense. And Tom Thibodeau, he's going to make them a good they're going to play some defense as well. And similar with Philly, I don't know how good they will be. They have so much potential. They could just shock everybody and be even better. But they will be good, and they do have a mix of experience and talent, unlike the 76ers, who have a lot of talent but not a lot of experience.
Exactly. I think that the one concern people have is how well this team's going to mesh together, and if Jeff Teague can be the leader at the point guard position.
And yes, Jeff Teague really he's a pivotal part for this team because you have a lot of talented players, and they do need a leader. And I don't think Jimmy Butler, he's that leader type, and I don't think Wiggins and Towns might be. I'm not sure, but definitely not Wiggins. So Jeff Teague, he's an older guy.
Absolutely,
he really could lead those young guys.
I think it's a little early in Towns' career to determine if he can be. We know he can be the number one guy, but does he have the leadership, quality? Does he have a leadership mentality?
Exactly.
I think we'll see that come out either this season or next season, depending on what happens with Jeff Teague. But this team, like you said, it's just so talented. We don't know how good they could be. Now, this could be a disaster and blow up in their face and,
exactly.
not even win, 40 games. We don't know.
Look at Steve Nash, Dwight Howard, that Lakers stuff.
Barring anything, and we mean anything, we never know what's going to happen in the NBA. But this team's potential could be higher than a 5 seed, could definitely be lower. That's just where I have them. Moving down to number 6. In the West, I have the Memphis Grizzlies. Memphis, like we touched on earlier, is a team that was plagued by injuries last season. I think if they can stay healthy, this is a team that can definitely be in that 5, 6, 7 area. Their defense and is what they pride themselves on. I really like their coach in Fizdale. He's a firecracker, and everyone knows the interview. Take that for data. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's pretty entertaining. But other than that, I really like him as a coach. I like their players. I like the additions of Tyreek Evans and Mario Chalmers. I really like the way Tyler Ennis played for them last season. I like Memphis at 6.
Okay, yeah, no, I can agree with that. If they can stay healthy, watch out, because Marc Gasol, a seasoned veteran, an amazing, underrated guy. And then same with Tyreek, he's had a lot of injuries in his career, but once he's healthy, he can really play some basketball.
Absolutely. He had some, I don't want to say good seasons in New Orleans, because he's never been as good as his rookie season, which is really strange for Tyreek. Crazy. But, he definitely had some flashes of his rookie season in New Orleans. And he's a solid player, and I think, being a role player in that Memphis system, I think that he'll be just fine.
It's not bad at all to be that. I think he'll fit in perfectly in that team.
My 6th seed in the East, the Milwaukee Bucks. We touched on future MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think that he leads the Bucks into the playoffs, and I think they stick at that 6th spot, maybe the 5, depending on what happens in Philly. I think even without Jabari, if he isn't okay, I think Thon, Chris Middleton, Brogdon, those guys, even Tony Snell. Tony Snell's a slept-on role player. Oh, yeah. He's pretty good. You forget he's there. They did lose Jason Terry to retirement, but I'm sure that he left some things there.
Oh yeah,
and definitely helped out the young guys. I think this team is just a solid 6 seed. I don't see them being any higher than 5 though. What are your thoughts on the Bucks, Rick?
Like I don't have anything else to add, because I agree 100% with what you said. It all depends on with Philly and Milwaukee. If Jabari comes back and plays how he was, they could get that 5th seed, but I don't see them being better than those top 4 teams in the East.
Fair enough. Moving down to the 7th spot. In the Western Conference, I have the Portland Trailblazers at 7, and then in the East, I have the Charlotte Hornets. The Hornets are a team that traded for Dwight Howard. I think Dwight will, quote-unquote, resurrect his career with the Hornets.
Hopefully.
I'm hoping that Michael Jordan can have a positive influence on him, unlike Kwame Brown, and run him out of the league after 5 seasons. But actually, I think he played longer than that. But, man, it felt like shorter. Kwame was there for two or three seasons, and then he went to L.A. and they thought he was the next big thing, and it was a crazy fallout, and I feel really bad for him. I'm glad he's doing well in the Big Three League, though. I really do like Kwame. But the Hornets, I think the pick and roll with Kimball Walker and Dwight Howard
it's going to be deadly. It's going to be a deadly pick and roll.
Absolutely, and I'm anxious to see that. I think Kemba's going to ball out, and I think he's going to make the All-Star team this year. They also have Nicholas Batum on the wing. I think that his scoring goes up. I think Dwight Howard and Marvin Williams, they get more attention in the paint now that he's there. I really like MKG as a defender. Just please don't shoot the ball.
You got to throw in Malik Monk.
And absolutely, Malik Monk is going to get some playing time, and he is going to light it up from the arc.
Oh my goodness, yes, he is. He could fight for that Rookie of the Year spot. You never know.
You never know with these guys, and when we made our picks last week, I know I took Markelle Fultz and Rick.
I took, I think I just said Dennis Smith Jr.
Dennis Smith Jr. That's right. Dennis Smith Jr. I think we both agreed as a sleeper pick was Ben Simmons.
Oh yeah, Ben
he's
Simmons.
Technically a rookie.
Dennis Smith or Ben Simmons, I think.
But I think I'm dead set on Markelle Fultz. If he can bring what he did in Washington to Philly, I think if he can be close to a 20 points per game scorer,
man, if he could do that, he'll be fine for an All-Star spot in the East.
I'm really high on him. But moving over to the Portland Trail Blazers, we touched on this earlier. We love the Blazers. Rick thinks that they could even be higher than 7.
I hope so.
I'm not that high on them. I really like them as a team, but their bench needs work, and some of their role players are, I'm so on them. Like Al-Farouq Aminu. I don't know how good he's going to be. Noah Vonleh, I know that he was great during the second half of the season. I'm not sure how he's going to come back and play. A lot of questions with the Blazers, but you know that their big three of Nurkic, Lillard, and McCollum are going to show up.
Oh, yes. And I think it all depends on how Nurkic is going to play. Because Lillard and McCollum, they're going to ball out.
Absolutely.
If Nurkic can play really well, then watch out.
Exactly. If he can be in the high teens, 17, 18 points a game, 10, 11 rebounds,
oh my goodness,
I think they'll be just fine. Moving on down to the 8th spot, this was really hard for me because in the West, it's really difficult to know who's going to get in because at the bottom, every single team is,
they're fighting. It's just it's a war zone.
It is. It's usually within 2 or 3 games of each other, and when it's coming down to the last 3 weeks of the season, I mean, it's a grind. You really don't know who's going to make it. But for me, I ended up going with the Denver Nuggets overall. I'm just going with the team that's more. Not so much more experienced. I mean, they're about the same as, who I had down there was the New Orleans Pelicans or the LA Clippers. They're all very good teams. I think they're very close in skill set. But overall, I just think the Nuggets with Millsap and Nikola Jokic and
I love Jokic.
Gary Harris and Will Barton, Jamal Murray and Will Barton.
Shooter.
And if Moutier can pick up his game, he was really my deciding factor. I'm banking on him getting just a little bit better this season.
I hope so because, he has the potential, he has the tools, but hopefully he does. But I do like Jamal Murray a lot. I think he's going to improve, and he's going to be something else.
Absolutely. I see, points per game going up, possibly even assists going up.
Everything.
He's a great player. He might be a candidate for most improved, but you never know who they're going to go with that. It's usually last year it was Giannis because that was obvious, but in prior years it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to tell.
There's so many good guys in the league, and you never know how they're going to play, like what they're going to come up with next season.
Right. It's hard to pick just one.
It is.
But I mean, like I said, my sleeper teams for the West were the New Orleans Pelicans and the LA Clippers. I don't know what's going to happen with LA. I mean, they have this group of guys, they have talented players, but it's how good's the chemistry going to be? How well are these guys going to mesh together on the floor?
Yeah, it's tough to say with the Clippers. I'm going to go right there and go with the Lakers, and I think they could shock some people. I don't know. I just have this feeling they could sneak in the playoffs. Possibly. I don't know.
Man.
It's just a thought that came to my mind right now.
Man, I like what the Lakers are doing. I love what Magic Johnson's done, except for getting rid of D'Angelo Russell. I'm very high on D'Angelo Russell, and I know Rick is high on him too. We wish him nothing but the best in Brooklyn. But the Lakers and the 8th seed?
I don't know. Or a team I like a lot, the Phoenix Suns.
Really?
Devin Booker. Oh my God.
A team that won 24 games last season is gonna all of a sudden win 42?
Man, come on, champ. You got trust me on this.
I'm not sure. I don't know if the Suns can turn it around that quickly.
I think Devin Booker's going to take them. That man can play.
That's blasphemy. That's the Suns making the playoffs. That's blasphemy.
Hey, man, you never know.
Oh, my goodness. Know. Yeah, okay.
But no, realistically, I think the Pelicans will get that 8 seed, honestly. Because you got the two best big men and a solid play with Rondo. I think they'll take that 8 seed. I would like the Suns to get it, but
I hope I'm wrong. I want to see a Golden State Warriors, New Orleans Pelicans first round.
That'd be really fun to watch.
You have a team that, does nothing but shoot outside, and they're money every single time. And then you have a team that's money from inside with Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins. I mean, just to see the clash of bigs versus shooters, I think that'd be a classic.
You don't see that too often.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But, I forgot to mention my 8 seed for the Eastern Conference. I'm going with the Miami Heat. I think the Heat could be as high as 6, depending. If they played like they did in the second half of the season, they could even be a 5 seed. I mean, this team was really good the second half of the season. I don't know how they're going to play, but I wanted them in the playoffs, so I put them at 8.
Oh, yeah. I like Deion Waiters, Hassan Whiteside.
Deion Waiters is a stud.
Oh, I love his game. I love his attitude. And then Goran Dragic, I don't know if you guys saw what he did a few days ago in that Europe tournament, the FIBA Cup, dropped 35 points.
Didn't he? Wasn't he the MVP?
He was.
That's
and
incredible.
And they won. Slovenia won.
That's incredible. He's always been the Dragon. The Dragon. He's always been one of my favorite players, and I know my friends like him too. He's just fun to watch. He's an interesting guy.
He is. He has a lot of heart. I like him a lot, and dragons are real.
Dragons are real. If I had to pick a sleeper team for the East, I mean, I really do think those are the 8 teams, the 8 best teams in the East, and the bottom 4 you can probably put in any order. But if I had to pick one, I would pick the Orlando Magic solely based on I really don't know anything about them. I mean, they've changed so much. I like their coach. Frank Vogel's a good coach to me. They have Terrence Ross and Aaron Gordon, Alfred Payton, and Jonathan Isaac, Evan Fournier. I mean, these are all
a lot of good pieces.
Solid pieces. Bismack Biyombo.
A lot
Vucevic,
of good pieces.
I just don't know how
it's gonna work.
Right, it's a similar situation to the Timberwolves, except just not nearly as much talent.
No.
And that's really the only team I can compare it to. Maybe the Clippers, still not as talented, but I really don't know how they're gonna mesh. And if they can pull it off, more power to them. I would love to see Orlando in the playoffs again.
Oh yes, and I always forget about Mario Hezonja.
Yeah, how is he doing now?
He used to be I thought he was going to be a stud in the league.
I know, watching him in Summer League, what was it, 3 years ago?
Something like that.
He killed it.
He did. I thought he was going to be really good.
And last season, I didn't even hear his name.
I forgot he was in the league, but you never know.
I mean, if he can have a comeback season, I mean, that would be great. I never wish a bad season on anyone.
No, me neither. And I think a team that they're not going to be that good, but I think they're going to be better what people think are the Brooklyn Nets.
I think so too, and we're going to talk about them shortly in the next segment here. But definitely Brooklyn. I think definitely not a sleeper team for the playoffs.
No.
But I mean, all these people that think, oh yeah, they're not winning over 20 games. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
No, they got pieces.
But that kind of segues us into the next and last segment of today's show here, and. What we thought would be fun is I'm going to read off the list of the Eastern Conference teams and how many games they won last season. And Rick's going to give us the over-under of what he thinks these teams are going to – or how these teams are going to perform, and vice versa. Rick has the Western Conference in his hands, and I'll give you my over-under for the Western Conference. But I'll go ahead and let Rick start off with the first team.
Okay, LA Clippers, 51 wins.
Definitely less. Less than I'm under 51 wins. I don't see them making the playoffs, and that's really all I have to say about that. They have way too many pieces. I don't know how they're going to gel together. If they do make the playoffs, it will be at a 7 or 8 seed. They will not have 51 wins.
I agree.
How about the Orlando Magic at 29?
Slightly over.
Slightly over.
Bit. Around 30, 35, 36 wins. Like, they have a lot of pieces, but I don't know if they can make it work. It's a lot of question marks with that team.
Absolutely.
And not enough like superstar talent,
Right, just a lot of good talent, not enough star power.
Exactly. Okay, what about the Phoenix Suns at 24 wins?
I'm gonna go under. I'm gonna go under, and I hate to even if it's only under 23 games. I really like them. I just don't think that they're going to be an upcoming team just yet. I think it's going to take at least one more year for them to get all the pieces together, and maybe next year they can win 30-something, maybe 40 games, but not this year.
Okay, I understand. I honestly think it's over, but I want them to trade Eric Bledsoe.
I do too. I really wanted him to go to the Cavs.
Like,
I really
like
thought it was
him a player.
happen.
I like him as a player. That would have been so nice, and give Ulis a starting job.
I would love to see mini LeBron with LeBron.
That'd be amazing.
That would have been great to see on the court. Anyway, how about the Milwaukee Bucks? 42.
Oh, over.
Over 42?
Over. A little bit over.
How many? We talking 43, 44?
Oh, yeah, around there.
Okay, so not by much, just a little bit?
Not by much. But
okay.
I think they because it's definitely not under. Because Giannis, he's going to have an even better season. And if you have an MVP type of player on your team, you're going to improve. And then you have other good pieces, a good coach. I think over.
He should elevate. He should elevate, absolutely.
Okay, what about the Sacramento Kings at 32 wins?
Under. I'm under on the Kings. With as much young talent as they have, what did they draft? 4 rookies?
Yeah,
and I think they're all going to get playing time. At least 3 of them are, we know for sure. And they have a lot of second and third year players surrounded by veterans. I think this is a team that wins at most maybe 24, 25 games, but it's definitely under 32.
Okay, yeah, that's I could see that. Like just how you said, a lot of young guys. They'll be better 2-3 years.
Absolutely. Let's see. Let's go with the Chicago Bulls, 41 wins.
Oh my goodness, very under.
Do you think they have a running for the worst team in the league next year?
Oh yeah, easy.
Do you think they get more than 20 wins?
A little bit over 20 wins, yeah.
Just like low 20s?
Yeah, like 25-ish.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. I mean, I really don't have anything to say about them. I mean, they're going to be trash. Dwayne Wade will get traded before the trade deadline, or he'll either be bought out and he will sign with a contender, and the team is just going to plummet from there.
Oh yeah, honestly. And okay, Golden State Warriors at 67 wins.
I think I'm going to go slightly under, just because the West got that much better. I'm going to say somewhere around 63, 64.
Okay.
Definitely low 60s. It will. I think it'll be over, or if not at 60 wins. I just think this team is way too stacked. It's way too talented. They kept the majority of their pieces. I know they let Ian Clark go. I think that's going to hurt them more than they think.
Yeah.
Or call me crazy, but Ian Clark was a crucial part of that bench offense. But definitely at least 62 wins.
Yeah, perfect point with what you said. The West improved, and the East improved as well. The Celtics, the Cavs, they still got to play those guys, and I think the Celtics could beat them at least one time in the regular season.
And this brings us to what we alluded to before we started this segment, the Brooklyn Nets at 20 wins.
Slightly over. I think around 25-ish.
25-ish.
D'Angelo Russell, I think he's going to have a breakout season. They have Isaiah Whitehead.
Yeah.
Who else? Karis LeVert.
They also have Damari Carroll and Timothy Mozgov.
I think they're a young team, but I think D'Angelo Russell.
Oh, Sean Kilpatrick. Don't forget about him. He had some great games last season. How can I forget
about him? And I think D'Angelo Russell's a great leader.
Oh, for sure. I think he definitely has leadership quality.
On the court. I think he'll lead them to around 25 wins.
I'll say slightly over, but I'm going to go less than that. I'm going to say 22.
Okay.
I think D'Angelo Russell has a couple game winners in him this season, and that'll put him at around 22.
Oh yes, for sure. Okay, this is a tough one, at least for me. But what about the LA Lakers at 26 wins?
I'll say over, but it's not close to 40. I think
you don't think so?
I think they'll win around 32, 33, maybe 34 games, but I don't see them making the playoffs. They could be the 10th or 11th seed in the West.
Okay. I
just think the team needs another year to gel.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, and that's true because they do have a lot of young guys, but I think they're going to be pretty good because you got Lonzo Ball. I think he's going to be playing very well, and Brandon Ingram, he might have a breakout season, and then you have good role players in Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Jordan Clarkson.
Absolutely. It'll be interesting to watch the Lakers this year and see what they do with all of that.
That'll be fun.
I would want to see them in a couple years when everyone is starting to grow into their roles and that team becomes great. I want to see Showtime again.
Oh yeah, same here.
All right, moving down this list. Okay, the Cleveland Cavaliers at 51.
I'm going to go over because you still have LeBron James.
Right.
Kevin Love, I think he'll
Right.
improve. He'll carry a bigger load. And then Derrick Rose, he'll play solid. I think they get more wins. And, since the East, they get a little bit better, but it's still weak.
Absolutely. There's no doubt which conference is better. But, yeah, I can agree with that. I'm going to go slightly over. I'm going to say 53-ish. 53-ish
Yeah, around
wins.
there.
Not by much, but I think that they improve with, the other Eastern Conference teams getting worse.
Okay, what about the Denver Nuggets at 40 wins?
I'm going to go exactly 40.
Exactly
40. That's where I see them at. Possibly 41 and 41 is the highest I would go. I did pick them as the 8 seed, but Portland got the 8 seed last year at 41 and 41. I think the Nuggets get in at 40 and 42 at the 8 spot.
Okay, yeah. I don't have much to add. I think I agree with what you said.
Like I said, Paul Millsap being added to that team, I thought it was a strange signing, but it'll be interesting to see what they do with all of their guards and Jokic and how they spread the floor with that, but we'll see what happens.
There'll be another young and fun team to watch.
All right, the Detroit Pistons at 37.
Under.
Yes.
I just don't understand that team.
I did call it a dumpster fire in last week's show, so.
No one can shoot on that team. Stanley Johnson, Reggie Jackson.
Really, just the team is just. I think it got better defensively, but what did you do for your offensive game?
Not much. They just don't mesh well. I don't think they mesh well.
I don't think they do either. I think the greatest thing to watch for the Pistons next season is going to be Avery Bradley and Andre Drummond, and if they can run a pick and roll properly, because Reggie Jackson is just, what happened to him? He completely fell off.
He fell off so much. I thought he was going to be a superstar point guard for the Pistons.
I know 3 seasons ago I had him in my top 10 point guards with that season he had.
Yeah.
And now I don't even have him in the top 20. It's just sad to see how players fall off so poorly.
It's crazy, but I think the only bright spot will be Avery Bradley. Okay, what about the Utah Jazz at 51 wins?
Way under. Okay. I think they win less than 35 games.
You think so?
Less than 35.
Yeah, because, who do they have to get you that many wins?
Exactly. Rudy Gobert, he's a defensive anchor, but I think their offense just isn't there, and they'll win in the low 30s.
It's tough to compete in the West. With very low, with not much offense.
And that's really all you have to say. The Western Conference is the Western Conference. You have, 11, probably maybe 12 teams that are capable of making the playoffs, and you don't know how it's going to work out.
Exactly.
Let's see. How about the New York Knicks at 31?
That's a tough one, but I'm gonna have to go with so much stuff that's going on in there. I think under.
Under?
A little under, or at 31.
At 31?
At 31.
At 30. If anything, I would say maybe push it up to about 33, if anything. I know Kristaps is obviously going to get better.
Great, yeah.
I don't know how much Melo's going to hold them back. He keeps getting older, but, he can still shoot the ball, but he's going to shoot it a lot, and if he's missing, that's going to hinder the team. I don't know how Tim Hardaway Jr. is going to play. I'm really high on him, but anything can happen. So it'll be interesting to watch how the dumpster fire of the New York Knicks unfolds.
Yeah, I just wish him the best.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish Knick fans the best. Please stop crying yourself to sleep.
Please. But what about the Oklahoma City Thunder at 47?
Over. I'm going to say 55.
55?
55 wins.
You think so?
Yes.
You think Russell Westbrook and Paul George can get them that many wins in the West?
I will guarantee they win over 50 games. I just think that they can get to that 55 mark. I think that them and the Rockets will have similar records. They'll either be the same or differ by a couple games, and I think that's going to be the deciding factor of the 3 seed for me.
Okay, yeah. I could see that.
Let's go with the Miami Heat at 41.
A little, 42, 43, over.
Over? Just a couple games?
Just a
I think that's fair. I think the Miami Heat are capable of it if they played like they did in the second half of last year.
And no injuries.
Right, barring any injuries, of course.
At least not too many, and hopefully Justin Winslow can improve.
Yeah, if he can come around. I think that his development is just, a little bit slower than they anticipated, but you can see that he is an all-around player, especially on the defensive end of the floor.
Oh, yeah, I like him a lot. I love his game. Okay, what about, the Minnesota Timberwolves at 31 wins?
I have them at 49.
49 hits.
49. and I think that's going to be good enough to get them a 5 seed. I think the top 4 seeds are going to be fighting for position other than Golden State, and I think out of the bottom 4, I think Minnesota is the best one.
Okay, no, most definitely, I agree 100%. They're gonna win some games. They're gonna get buckets.
Let's see here. How about your Boston Celtics, Rick? How many wins? They're at 53.
Hey, I'm gonna call me crazy. I think over
How many?
3 games.
So you think 56?
Yeah,
56 is a solid
56.
number? I think that's fair. I definitely don't see them winning 60 when they have to play the West so many times.
But they'll be good.
I know. I have no doubt that they'll be great. I mean, I'm really anxious to see how Kyrie handles his team, you know.
Right, exactly. And I think he will do a very, very fine job.
Absolutely. I think the Celtics are going to be satisfied with their 2 all-star players. I think 56 wins. I'm going to say slightly over. I think I'm going to have to agree with you. I'll say 56 is solid.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Okay, what about the Portland Trailblazers at 41 wins?
I'll say slightly over. I'll say 44.
44, yeah. Okay, yeah.
44 wins. I just see them improving with Yusuf Nurkic. They didn't have him all season last year. I think with him they can improve by 3 or 4 games. I'm going to stick with 44 for Portland.
Yeah, they'll improve a little bit with him because he is a very good player.
Let's see. How about the Atlanta Hawks at 43?
Over. No, I'm joking. I'm sorry, Atlanta. Under.
How far under are we going?
Oh, man, I'm going far. I'm going deep. 25 wins.
25? Whew. I'm not even sure if I'd give them that. I think.
Yeah, not even that.
I think, them and the Bulls are probably going to be fighting for the worst team in the league. I might give them 20, 22, 23.
Yeah, for sure. I feel bad for them. But, it is rebuilding. It happens. And they just got to just start from scratch.
Absolutely.
Okay, how about the Dallas Mavericks at 33 wins?
I'm gonna say, man, I really like.
That's
what
a tough
done.
one. That's a tough one.
I'll have to say over. I'm gonna say 35.
35. Okay, yeah.
Not by very much. I just think 35 is a solid number for the Mavs. I really like Dennis Smith Jr. like you do.
Same here.
Harrison Barnes should get better. Like I say, should get better.
Hopefully.
I think Nerlens Noel was a good signing for them, and it's a contract year for him. He's going to play hopefully better than he did. 35. 35 is a solid number.
Yeah, I can see that happening as well. That's a good number for them.
All right, now here's my one of my favorite teams in the league. How about the Philadelphia 76ers at 28 wins?
Oh, give me over for sure. They win at least 40 games.
I agree. I'm going to even go higher. I'm going to say the Sixers win 44.
Oh yeah, I
can
can
win
see
44 games.
If they live up to the hype and to the potential, they're winning that amount of games. Easy.
I think them and the Bucks. I mean, even if both teams are healthy, I think that they'll be similar in record wise. Maybe Philly has 45 and Milwaukee has 44. I think
Philly would be even better than the Bucks.
Absolutely. I would love to see, even if Philly got the 4 and the Bucks got the 5 seed. I would love to see Giannis take on the Sixers' upcoming dynasty.
That would be one of the best series to watch in the entire playoffs.
Oh, absolutely. I'm looking forward to this season. I know we're both excited, but we got to get through this list.
Man, okay, what about the Memphis Grizzlies? The Memphis Grizzlies have 43 wins.
43 for Memphis. Oh, man. I had them at the 6th spot. I'm going to say, I'll say 46.
40? You think so?
I think 46 wins for Memphis. I think their defense grinds them out 3 or 4.
Okay, yeah, I can see it.
Barring any injuries, of course. I like what they've added, and I think their bench has gotten better.
If they don't get any injuries, they could be around there.
Okay, another one of my favorite teams. I love how I had them back-to-back here. How about the Charlotte Hornets at 36?
I will go over, and they'll win around 40, a little bit more than 40 games, for sure.
I would agree. I'm going to say 41. 41 and 41 is how I see Charlotte.
Yeah, because they did improve. I think Dwight Howard is going to prove everybody wrong. He's going to have an amazing season, and Kemba's going to be Kemba, and they're going to win some games.
I don't know. Maybe I think I want to change mine now. I don't know. Them and the Heat, I'm really iffy with them, having the 7-8 seed.
They're pretty even.
I mean, I think they both have the potential to win just over 41 games. I mean, maybe 42, 43. I think they'll be very similar in record, just like the Sixers and the Bucks.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree with you a lot. Rocket. No, my bad.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. It's your turn. Your turn.
My bad. So many teams.
So many teams here that you lose track, you know?
Okay, how about the Houston Rockets at 55 bones?
I have them at 55.
55, yeah, that's a good number.
I have them and the Oklahoma City Thunder both at 55. Like I said, fighting for that 3 seed. I don't know who's going to get it, but it's going to be a ride.
It's going to be a battle between those two teams, and they're going to be fun to watch for sure.
All right, moving towards the end of the list here. How about the Indiana Pacers at 42?
Under by a lot.
I'm going to have to agree with you. I don't think this team wins.
Not even 25.
Close to 25. No, I'm going to probably say 22 again.
22, yeah. I'm sorry.
It's hard telling, but a lot of these teams that we're talking about, 22, 25 wins, I mean, any one of them could go under 20. We just don't know which one.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I feel bad, but, it's rebuilding. It is what it is, and they just got to take what they have. Okay, what about the Pelicans? New Orleans Pelicans at 34 wins.
I'm going to have them over. I have the Pelicans winning 40.
40?
40 games, and I think they just missed the playoffs. I think Denver gets the tiebreaker.
That would be tough to watch. That would be tough to watch them not make it to the playoffs.
I'm just trying to be realistic. I want them in it. 40 and 42, that just sounds like the record that they're going to have next season.
I'm going to disagree with you, and I think they'll beat Denver, and they'll get that last spot.
How many games do you have them at?
If everything works, I think they can win like 45 games.
45.
Or a little bit at 43.
I can see 45 if everything comes together. If they can climb up there and get a 6 or 7 seed. I mean, if they can really, really grind this out and make sure all their pieces are working.
Oh, yeah. If like Davis stays healthy the entire season, Cousins improves his attitude, keeps on playing the way he does, and Rondo does at least what he does last year.
I think Rondo's the X factor here.
They'll be great. They'll be good. They'll be really good.
How about the my favorite team in the entire league? How about the Toronto Raptors at 51?
I'll go slightly over.
Slightly over.
Yeah, DeMar DeRozan, I think he's going to improve. And if Lowry plays...
He's definitely not the 36th best player in the league, ESPN.
That's for sure. And if Lowry plays the way he's been playing these last few years, they can win a lot of games, and especially since they're in the East.
I'll have to say I'm even as a hometown fan. I mean, I like to think myself as being, realistic. I see them winning about the same amount, 52, 53 is what I see them at. I think they just beat out Cleveland. I would stick with Cleveland at 51. It's going to be close, and it all depends how the second half of the season goes when Isaiah Thomas comes back for the Cavs.
Exactly. That's a big question mark. We really don't know what's going to happen with that. But what about the San Antonio Spurs at 61 wins?
I have them slightly under. I'm going to say 57.
57.
57 for the Spurs.
Okay, yeah. 57, 58, around that area.
I think because the rest of the Western Conference got better, the Giants at the top have to come down slightly, but they'll still be there.
Yeah, and I forget they got Rudy Gay, which I'm a big fan of.
Absolutely, and I think that's what keeps them above the other two teams is adding a solid role player that they can bring in off the bench, a solid scorer.
Yeah, that's what's going to keep them on top.
And last but not least here, we have the Washington Wizards at 49.
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm going to have them at 49.
I'm going to have them at 49.
At 49. They're really good, but, like how you said, they didn't improve that in the offseason, so...
Might as well just stick them where they were.
Might as well stay the same. They, if it's not broke, don't try to fix it.
Exactly. I mean, the Wizards, like you said, they didn't change. I think that they can get really close to 50 games. I just don't think that they'll be able to crack it.
Yes. Like, it's going to be a fun season to watch. I'm excited to see all these teams. The NBA definitely got more fun.
Counting down the days.
Oh my goodness, it's gonna be one of the best seasons in a while.
Absolutely.
I think so.
Absolutely. We're both looking forward to it. Anyway, that's going to conclude today's episode of the GRVC Hoops podcast. We really hope you enjoyed it. Listen in next week. We'll be coming in with episode 4. Rick, go ahead and take us out.
Hey, thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a good week, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.